We have Nicholas Gibbs as we commonly do on Tuesday, except it isn't Tuesday, it's Monday. So Nicholas, you were, on your way out of town and our buddy Larry, he's been traveling so much, I guess he's going to be home this week or something. I don't know. Anyway, he was willing to take your slot tomorrow night, so that's all been arranged. I was thinking a little while ago that, Elon has been tweeting so much I can barely catch up. I mean, it's like it's a full-time job just to read his tweets and then read the tweets that he's referring to. I don't have time to do the shows or anything else because I'm just following his tweets. Now, I figured the most likely reason why all of a sudden he's tweeting so much is because he beat Diablo.
That could be it. That could be it.
Okay.
He's
That was
number one in the world. It's insane.
number one in the world. I mean, it's just crazy. Now that would be one potential reason because he doesn't have any time. He's trying to figure out what to do with his time now that he is not sinking so much into Diablo. I
I
remember
mean,
when I
you,
beat
you got. I was gonna say you got Diablo. He solved FSD. The rockets are getting caught. Elections over. I mean, like, yeah. He's got lots of time.
yeah. Well, I thought another possible reason was that he's trying to gin up a lot of activity on X right now because he's getting ready to launch the payment system.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there was a
Yeah.
couple of comments about that over the last couple of days. He put a little dollar sign on one of the memes that was out there a meme that he put out had a dollar sign, and people's like, what is that dollar sign for? And it turns out it was a teaser about the payment system.
Yeah.
Uh,
It'll be interesting if they if it's just like just yeah, we can do this too, or if they do anything to kind of shake it up, right? What could you do that would be a additive new way of thinking of how to transact payments that we haven't thought of?
yeah, that would be interesting if he does have a kind of a switch on that, some kind of
Yeah.
a new direction on that. I also wondered, I was also thinking about, how do you pull people away from PayPal and these other ones? And I'm not sure that it wouldn't be the same way he did it the first time. He might just offer $10 to just get you to sign up. And I think a lot of people, if they've got $10, they'd sign up.
Yeah, I think there's lots of things you could do. Yeah, you could also like I don't know, do like a reward system, but again, anything you do, like other people could copy as well, right? So I think the real way to do it would be to make it a way where I don't know, you're just doing it so different, or you found like I don't know what it is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is why I'm not Steve Jobs or him, but like
Right.
find the thing that we didn't know that we needed or wanted
Yeah. Yeah.
and add that into it. That'd be big. But
Now,
then again, the platform itself is so big, that I mean,
if only his fanboys in girls, signed up. I mean, if the 200 million or whatever it is that are following
yeah.
him, that would be enough. That would be a good start.
I mean, that'd
Well,
probably make it one of the biggest in the world, probably at that point.
probably. I thought that maybe this was actually so that he could really get his army like ginned up, ready to go for the Doge committee, so that if he's running into any blocks or anything else, he could get everybody to write letters to their Congress people or vote against them the next time they're running or something. So maybe he's just trying to really, get a lot of stuff going on X right now.
Damn, Randy, I don't want to gas you up over here, give you a big head or anything, but you're saying all things that I think are great. Yeah, I think you're spot on with all this.
Well, okay, let's see if I can come up with something that
10 out of 10 left and right so far here. I couldn't agree more. Hey, just real quick before we carry on,
Yes.
in case Larry happens to watch this, uh, thank you for switching with me, Larry. I appreciate it. We're traveling tomorrow, so thank you, and hope you and your family have a happy Thanksgiving.
There you
Sorry.
go. There you go. All right. Well, listen. Okay. Next subject. We'll see if you agree with me on this kind of stuff. So
Uh-oh.
so we had some stock action today. I mean, so, often we're talking about 10 points up or something, but today we had a massive turnaround. The stock had been up all night, about 6, 7, 8. It was up when the market opened this morning. Then half an hour in, kaboom! It was down and negative about 2 or 3, and then it ended up, I think, down 13 or something for the day, something like that.
I'm
I
looking at
forget.
it right now. Yeah, down 13.97 for the day, so down 3.96%, and a further drop of $2.29, 41 cents, and essentially 0.5% in the aftermarket.
In the after hour, yeah. So, I mean, holy mackerel, we were doing just fine. There was not a lot of news, but there was a little news. What did you think? What was your first impression of what happened today? Or second
My
impression,
first,
or your
you want
analysis?
my honest first impression?
Yes, yes, yes.
My covered calls didn't hate it. That was my first impression. My covered calls expire this Friday, so I was like, I'll take it.
You're covered. You're good.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
quick few or maybe a little more than a few grand in the pocket. So that's a nice way to go into Thanksgiving. No, look, we've ran a lot. I think this is healthy. This is par for the course. It's how it should be. This is what you want to see. And again, nothing has truly changed. And if we're being honest with ourselves,
Right.
as far as the company goes,
Right.
this is purely a narrative change, a political change move, and that also doesn't mean that it's not going to keep going up, right? But
Right.
I think right now it's a light week. There's such low volume in the market this week. I didn't check to compare, but this week you're going to see light volume, which means if people sell now, it's easier to make the stock go down. At the same time, if people start buying, it's easier to make it go up. But
Right.
it's a nothing burger.
All right. Okay. So it's a nothing burger, but still, one of the things we have to do on this channel is we have to look at what might have been a case. So there was this UBS note out today. They raised their
Price
uh,
target to
price
to
target
something.
and then and then reiterated their sell. Of course, since the price target was only 232 and we're sitting here at 300 and whatever it is. So did you think the UBS note probably I think the UBS had impact. What do you think?
If it did, then it's just a lot of idiots watching. UBS saying that it's a sell while you have Brad Gerstner over here selling all of his Uber and buying Tesla is kind of comical. It's like, are you going to listen to the guy who has had a much take the analyst who did that versus Brad, and you tell me who you want to bet on when it comes to investing in technology? I mean, the person who's always been right and actually done stuff and actually, knows technology, has invested in it very successfully, or some random analysts.
But
I don't
Brad
know.
it was only $1 billion.
That's it. Maybe 2 billion, apparently.
Oh, really? Oh, really? I hadn't heard that. All right. So you think that we should pay attention to Brad Gerstner and that people were foolish to be listening to UBS? Um,
Well, you shouldn't be foolish for listening to UBS. There are probably very smart people who have a very high degree of accuracy at UBS. You
mhm.
shouldn't listen to UBS. You shouldn't listen to just what a firm said. You should figure out who is the one that did the research, who said that. What I believe in, I don't care if you're an analyst, I don't care who you are. I just care that you're right a lot. And it's very basic. It's very, not to sound cliche, but first principles thinking.
Mhm.
Listen to the people who have been right over and over and over and over and over
And
and
that
over
and that
and
would
over.
and that would not be UBS on Tesla.
No, it wouldn't. Like, listen to what Elon says. Listen to Ron Barron. Listen to Brad Gerstner. Listen to Chamath. Listen to David Sachs. Listen to these people who have been right over and over. Right? Like, this is why people listen to these people. And I just think it's listen to Andre Kapathy. Right? He just had a couple month and a half, 2 months ago, he had a whole thing about comparing Waymo and Tesla, why he thinks they're still ahead or like massively ahead. Like,
Right.
listen to these people. Like, that's who you want to listen to, not because they are saying something I agree with, but because they've been right for so long, so many times. But it's so simple, it might work.
All right. Well, what do you think about the Gavin Newsom statement? Do you think that Gavin impacted the stock today? And do you think that there's no chance in the world, as I do, that he could ever pass such a bill?
Um, I think he could definitely pass a bill like that. Um,
Oh,
I
we
look,
should probably explain it.
go, yeah, good idea.
All right. So Gavin Newsom said, if the federal government decides to eliminate the 7,500 because Elon pushes that to end, that he would reinstate in California some kind of a similar deal, but he would keep the largest U.S. Manufacturing company in California. Um, he would keep them out of the special deal somehow. He would keep them out because they would favor startups or there was favor companies that aren't doing that well, which I think would be impossible to get the constitutional. Uh, you know, I don't think you could do that. But anyway, and you say,
Yeah, I think anything's possible. Like when you can get rid of voter IDs, like anything's possible, right? But I don't think it'll happen in the way maybe it's represented right now. Like if it was just for like startup companies or companies that aren't profitable, period, yet, I'm actually for that. Like I think that's fine. And then once you hit a profit, like you lose it. Or if it was like for the first 200,000 cars, go for it. Let Tesla have it for like 2 minutes and then they lose it and everybody else still has it. I think that's fine too. But I don't think they're going to be able to actually get away with doing it in a way that we think is unfair. Um, yeah, it doesn't pass the sniff test, and then they're still the largest, I think, manufacturer or maybe just auto manufacturer in
California.
California.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be able to like. You don't want to risk that either, right? Like that's a lot of jobs you're going to give up, and honestly, it's an archaic factory. Like there's really no need not to just expand Giga Texas. You got plenty of land there.
I don't think that Elon would really think really hard if he thought. I mean, Gavin Newsom's lame duck at this point. He's out in 2026. But I could certainly imagine that Elon could put the threat out, and it would be a believable threat to just
Yeah.
pack up because he could build a brand new factory with all the latest gizmos and get rid of that old nasty factory. And I think the folks in that area of Fremont and around there, I don't think they would appreciate all those jobs going away. I could be wrong, but
Yeah. No, yeah, it's silly. It makes good headline, makes good fear porn, makes good clickbait. It's I don't think it's gonna come to fruition.
All right. So we weren't the only, Tesla wasn't the only one today. So Bitcoin was down huge. MicroStrategy down 13%. Gold down 3% today. So it wasn't just. So is this all because it's a light trading week, or are there things going on in the in the atmosphere that we can't really see?
Oh yeah, I mean, okay. So all right, so that's a loaded question. Um, so Bitcoin's down 3%. 3% is nothing. Like that's a normal move for any stock. 3%, like that's not crazy. Um, so I don't think there should be a lot of reaction to that. MicroStrategy is a different thing. Let me take a sip of water for this one.
Okay.
People need to understand what they're investing in when it comes to MicroStrategy. Are you familiar with what they do
Oh
and
yeah,
how?
yeah. I've been watching it. I'm not investing in it, but I'm really curious about how this all works out.
Okay, well, feel free to chime in with any extra details that maybe I'm leaving out, but I'll try to be succinct. MicroStrategy is a software as a service company. They build a software that's much like Tableau or for Amazon Quick Sites, right? So it's the analytics BI type software that a lot of companies use, but they have been losing market share and they've seen their revenue collapse over the years. They are now essentially a Bitcoin holding company. That's really what they are. They still have their software company. I actually have a lot of friends that work over there, but they're not really, that's not their business. Their business is Bitcoin. And what's happening right now is MicroStrategy has juicy options premium. Like, it's great. And investors are loving it that the stock keeps going up and up. In fact, it's outpacing Bitcoin, right? But here's the thing. Here's the wrinkle in all of this. MicroStrategy will keep working as long as Bitcoin keeps working. But once Bitcoin stops working, you're going to have, and you can kind of see it today, a 3-to-1 effect. Meaning for every like $1 MicroStrategy can go up, it can go down $3 harder.
Yeah.
Right. So what's happening, and the reason why it's it's complicated if you don't really understand this. So I recommend everyone go do their own research. But what MicroStrategy is doing is they're essentially taking or putting out convertible notes, and they're having people buy into those convertible notes at 0% interest, so they don't receive anything. Okay, well, Nick, why would someone go ahead, give someone money for 0%? Well, great question. Because in 5 years, whenever that note comes due, as long as MicroStrategy is over like $600 something, they will, it's a convertible note, right? So they'll be able to convert that note into shares at that price of 600 whatever dollars.
Right.
Meaning, if MicroStrategy is at 5,000, they get it at 600. Essentially, they've got a call option.
Right.
That's what's happening here. So here's, like I said, the wrinkle. It works as long as Bitcoin keeps up. It works as long as people keep buying these convertible notes, so then they can take that revenue and put it back into buying more Bitcoin and keep that, what I consider kind of a Ponzi scheme, going.
Right.
What happens is if Bitcoin starts going down, all of a sudden that 3-to-1 ratio I was talking about goes down. Also, MicroStrategy loses value. All of a sudden, whenever these notes start to come due, there's a problem because they don't have the capital to pay it. And the people who, right, it just, dominoes starts to fall apart. So Bitcoin, I think it's fine. It's down 3%. It's not a big deal. It's trying to break an all-time high. Like, 3% is nothing. It's Thanksgiving week. No big deal. MicroStrategy, I'm not saying that things are collapsing right now. It may not. It may never collapse. It may work out beautifully. I'm just saying, understand, if you buy it, if you're in it, understand what you're in. Do a little research. Have fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's fine to, I won't lie. I've got a sold call and sold put on MicroStrategy. Just one contract, far ends. Hey, it's fun. All right, it's a little fun. But be careful and know what you're putting your money into.
All right. Well, speaking of knowing what you're putting your money into, what do you think about, should Elon Musk buy MSNBC?
I wouldn't mind the purchase of CNBC.
CNBC. Okay.
Yeah.
That might be worth a little more.
Yeah.
Now, is that part of that package?
It is.
CNBC was also part of the package.
Yeah, I think they spun all of them off. I could be wrong. Don't quote
I
me.
know there was I know there was like four pieces in there. Yeah.
I'm fairly confident that was one of them.
Huh.
But I'd be fine with that because, hey, I watch that every day. So
every day. Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to see a little more balance on it besides just Joe Kernan and Rick Santelli. But yeah, no, I like CNBC. I think in general it's pretty measured.
Okay. All right. So, but MSNBC,
maybe not towards Tesla, but just in general.
MSNBC by itself?
No.
Trash.
That's one you can just throw away. It's one of those things that you look. First of all, I don't think any like news, like whether it's a CNN, a MSNBC, a Fox, whatever else, I think they're all kind of just dead. Like, I'm not saying people don't watch it, but people consume way more through podcasts and YouTube and Spotify and whatever else.
Right.
You know, I mean, X, obviously. I just feel like that's it's such a dead area. Like, I barely know anybody who actually has cable TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
No,
for
I don't watch
what?
Fox. I don't
There's
watch
only
Fox.
two reasons to have it. There's only two reasons for either if you want to watch that type of live news
Right.
and you think for some reason you can't get it online,
Right. Right.
or if you want to watch live sporting events. But guess what? Live sporting events are pretty much getting dominated now by streaming services. So
Right.
it's yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, all right, let's switch then to
Wait, what do you think?
what do I think? I think that
Yeah, this is a conversation, Randy.
I think it would be a useless diversion of energy, and it'd be better to spend the time and energy on X. I'd like to see way, way, way more attention put into the YouTube or the
Yeah,
video
I know.
part
Yeah,
of what's happening
agreed.
on X. I'd like to see better spaces, not only in terms of not glitching or having problems in terms of technically, but also maybe some more thoughtful ways of doing spaces rather than just citizen
Journalism.
journalism. That's what I mean. Maybe hiring or finding some outstanding people to run the spaces, or something like that. Maybe there's a different thing besides spaces that would even be better. Anyway, so yeah, I think it can all be done within X. And I
Yeah.
think that would be smarter.
It'd be really cool to see like a Rachel Maddow, Tucker Carlson, like, stream.
Yeah. Or even I was staying today, actually, it'll be on later tonight with Brian White, because I've reversed my middle of the day is now on at
Yeah.
7 California. That's working way better. Anyway, but Brian and I were talking about this also. I would think it'd be really interesting to do it like Real Clear Politics does it. Have Rachel on for 10 minutes, give her spiel about a subject. Now have Tucker on for 10 minutes, give his spiel about the same subject. Don't have them across from each other and she'd be crying and you know, I mean, maybe you could find some pairings that would be good, but I can't remember. You're too young, but Bill Buckley used to do a great job of that. But since then, most of the pairings have not been even. They've been
Well, yeah, I think a lot of the problem is, again, the whole concept of like traditional media is that you have time for 3.5 minutes of content. They're trying to squeeze everything into it before we have to get to a commercial.
right,
But
right.
with a podcast, a spaces, whatever, like, people have room to speak their mind.
Yeah,
People have room to actually get their entire point across before someone rebuts.
right.
And I think more of that is healthier, I think, to fix society. Because within society, I think you see people debate opinions, and what quickly happens is one person stops listening and they're just ready to retort rather than like actually taking what someone says and trying to understand. They're already trying to retort. So you haven't even heard what I'm gonna say.
Right.
And so I think if like that, if we move away from kind of mainstream media where we just see these people having their sound bites quickly, it's why these like presidential debates are stupid,
Yeah.
because people go there, you got 30 seconds to rebut this, and it's like, that's not how we think. We can't have a clear, nuanced discussion when that's what's happening. But I'm hopeful that in the future, as podcasts take over, as spaces take over, as YouTube takes over, that you'll see more long form podcasts where people actually get their thoughts across. And that will also precipitate through society where people are more willing to relax. We don't need to jump on top. We don't need to retort right away. Let's let this person, right? Because it just seems like there's a parallel between people always watching traditional news and then that's how they act when they have conversations versus, let's actually talk about this.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
listen to you. You just said something. Let me say back to you what you said to make sure I understood your point.
Oh no, not mirroring.
Yeah, like, God forbid someone sits there and says, okay, so this is what I heard you say, and I think that, like, do I have your position correct? Like, is that actually what you're saying? Okay, great. Like, we have understanding, right? And we may not agree, but we have clarity.
Right.
and
Right.
and then we can actually have a civil conversation. But we're just so everything's so clickbait, fear porn it's exhausting. And I honestly think that in general, like you're seeing people more exhausted of it. I could be wrong. I mean, we are still a TikTok society, but I like to think people are going to start having more civil discourses as we move away from traditional media.
At least,
Anyway,
at least some people. Yes. Okay.
yeah, I hope.
Robotaxi. Okay. I'm talking about the Robotaxi where our car gets put out to service or where Tesla puts out Model 3s and Model Ys. I'm not talking about the cyber
Cybertail.
cab, which is further down the road.
Okay, I understand.
My understanding is that Elon says that sometime in the second half of this year, those kinds of robo taxis will be out there. They will be turned on in California and Texas.
You are
Maybe
correct.
maybe be sooner than the second half. Maybe it won't happen in the second half because it'll be too optimistic. But sometime in the not too distant future, I believe that's what's going to happen. So I have two questions about it for you. Does that timeline make sense to you right now, based on everything you know, based on everything you're hearing, based on driving the car? And the second part of that is, how do you see it rolling out? Like slowly, a little bit at a time, or do you see that Elon, as he's always talked about, will push a button and say, "Okay, your app is ready to go."
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with your first question. Yes, I think your interpretation is accurate. I mean, those are verbatim the words, right? It's there's that as he says, you don't have to read between the lines, just read the lines. Those were the lines to read. That is what was said. Now, that was said October 2024.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, let's have a little grace and patience and understanding and empathy. It may not happen 2025. It may be 2026. It's going to happen within the next 2 years. Unequivocally, I will bet money on this. I will, whatever you want. I guarantee you it will happen in the next 2 years. Um, I've been driving it. The only time I have taken over is to avoid a pothole I know is coming up in a road because, well, I don't want to hit a pothole.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have yet to do anything.
Mm,
Not once.
mm, mm, mm.
But
So,
the potholes are still there, and every morning I take over the same
okay.
freaking pothole.
So you're a guy, I'm sure, who commonly, constantly thinks in terms of the percentage opportunity, the percentage of something taking place or not taking place in order to make bets.
A
Okay.
lot.
This is a lot of what you do. All right. So if you were going to give, if you were making bets on this and it mattered that it came out in this summer versus a year from this summer, where would you be, how would your betting look? What percentage chance would you be giving it for summer of 25 versus summer of 26?
Wait, all right. Well, hold on. You can't just say it like that. I
I
need to
can't say
understand
it
what's
like
on the line.
that.
Like, how's it work? Like, does this work like a call option, or is this
Uh,
just
it's a
like
pool. It's a pool.
it's a pool? Oh, okay. So it's essentially over or under. Okay. So I would say 40% chance by the summer, 60% chance after the summer.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then a guarantee 100% by 2 years from today.
2 years from today,
You said 2 years,
that would be November of
26.
2026. Yeah, I would put that. That's got a high probability of profit. That would be like at a 98.99%. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Okay. And then the second half of the question,
I don't remember it.
does it roll out slowly
Oh,
or
okay,
is
yeah,
it?
okay. Sorry. Need to jog my memory. It's been a long day. Um, I think it rolls out Austin, San Fran. Um, it'll probably be there for longer than we anticipate. It's just there. Um, because I think they'll use that to really get a lot of quick learnings, how to pull over, what's the intention is, just park. Okay, I drop someone off. What do I do now? Where do I find parking lot? How do I pay for the parking here? Like lots of little stupid things. Oh, somebody said pull over here. I can't pull over here. Oh, these potholes, we want to avoid those. Lots of these like little things. I think they will try to use Austin, San Fran just to learn a lot more of that. And then they'll probably get to a point where they are not getting enough data. And so they'll start rolling out to other cities. They'll probably go like Houston, LA, Dallas, and somewhere else. And I think it'll start to ramp up from there. You'll start to see city, 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 and it'll just, I think it'll go kind of hockey stick. But the beginning of that hockey stick is pretty slow as they're learning what they don't know yet.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I guess I
Business.
could put time frames on it. My thoughts. So I haven't even had this thought yet. Like, so this is all like
Yeah.
raw off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I bet you the San Fran, Austin will be 3 to 4 months before they add another city. And then after that, they'll probably add like a few cities. Then like 3 months after that, it'll be like yeah, another doubling of cities. And then after that, it'll be like every month there's new cities that are announced.
Okay. All right. Okay.
What do you
Interesting.
think?
What do I think? I think, see, I'm the optimist, of course. You have to always take that in consideration. And I never
I think
bet.
that's optimistic.
I never bet on these things. Okay. So that I'm not like, I'm not going to give you a percentage chance. Yeah. I think that it's really a lot further along than we think. That version 14 is already being tested and it's absolutely phenomenal. I think that it's going to be significantly doing all the things you're talking about are going to be done in San Francisco right now. They're already happening with the driver in the seat, and that all that kind of stuff will be handled in that environment. And so that when it's ready to go, because Elon has talked about it forever, I think he's got it in his head. I think it'd be fun, and I know he likes to have fun. To have a 1 hour presentation or something. Maybe it's an event, but maybe it's just a presentation on video or on X or in Spaces or wherever, where he holds up the app, and he's got his computer, whatever it is, and he goes, okay, kaboom, and every car in California and Texas or whichever states are approved, every car is ready to go. He's talked about that for so long. I just have this sense that if he can do it that way, that's the way he'll want to do it.
How do you deal with getting critical mass though?
Critical mass.
Yeah, because you can't have like just one car that has it in a city, right? Because that's just not, that doesn't work,
Well,
right? Because like, what's the price then, and who's going to actually use it? So you need to have more people wanting to use it, getting into the network to make it reliable, right? You need a critical mass for it to actually work in a city.
right.
Otherwise, I'll be like, wow, there's nothing around here. That's a problem.
Yeah, I think it'll work itself out. So Uber and these guys, they all started out with 10 or 20, take any one of these guys, Lyft, Waymo, they all started out with 20 or 30 cars or whatever, only in a certain area, and then they just built it up from there. So I'm not sure that's going to be a very, very big issue, but I also think that Tesla could use their own vehicles to fill in. So if they see situations where there is not critical mass, where they can send out 20 cars and flood a zone, they could easily do that with their own vehicles. So they have an opportunity that no other cab company or any other ride hailing services ever had of being able to manage their own Tesla fleet in order to take care of these kind of contingencies.
See, I think it'd be more like I live in the Tampa Bay area. Like, okay, Tampa Bay, you guys want to have these robo taxis? You got to have this amount of Teslas in the Tampa Bay area in order for us to launch it. Until this area doesn't have this amount of vehicles, we can't launch it. So once you hit that threshold, it's on you. Do you want to go in the future or not? Like, I think that'd be a huge incentive. You know how many people would be buying them left and right?
Yeah, yeah. Ideas, lots of ways to approach it. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. You make it like a lottery. Like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
everybody's going to get this. Austin, you get it. You've got a lot.
Yeah,
San
yeah.
Fran, you got a lot. Hey, LA, congrats. Here you go. Oh, look over here. Denver just got it. Oh, look,
Are
I
you
think it'd be
listening,
cool.
Elon? These are ideas. These are free. We're giving them to you for free. Okay, this is a big one I wanted to get into at the end because not everybody cares about NVIDIA. So, and I'm not asking you to talk out of school here because I know that you have things that you can and can't say. I believe that NVIDIA is down this week um, because of this conversation out there. Let me just read from Business Insider. Salesforce CEO, this is today, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff,
Benioff.
in an
Benioff.
episode of the Wall Street Journal's the Future of Everything podcast, said he thinks the future of AI advancement lies in autonomous agents, not the large language models used to train bots like ChatGPT. I actually think we're hitting the upper limits of the LLMs right now, he said. And over the last several years, Benioff said, we've all got drunk on the ChatGPT Kool-Aid. Several years, no, 2 years, leading the average consumer to believe that AI is more powerful than it is and that LLMs are key to advancements in technology. But there is a burgeoning use of artificial intelligence, autonomous agents, which can be deployed to conduct tasks independently, such as executing sales, communications, or marketing campaigns. That he says will be more significant, and the LLMs are hitting these tops. So
Um,
a lot of talk
I would
about
love,
a lot of
I
talk
would
about
love,
LLMs.
well, I
Did
would
you,
love to hear the whole talk that he had or his whole point of view. Um, because I don't want to criticize him without hearing the whole context
right?
because it doesn't make sense what was said.
Oh, okay, okay.
these, yeah, these autonomous agents are using LLMs.
No, no. What I'm saying, I think he's saying though what the other Brad, not Gerster, Gurley said
Girly,
the other day on that same podcast. It was like they're hitting a limit, and this is something that's being
yeah.
talked about all last week. That the LLMs are hitting some limit, and there's going to need to be another breakthrough in order to really go to the next level. And of course, if that happens, if there are some limits, that could hurt the sales at Nvidia. The agent part of it, I don't understand any of this stuff. Okay, I'm like a parrot.
The agents use LLMs though, is my
Right,
point.
exactly.
So so no, you're still going to be using LLMs, or you're still going to be okay. These companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, they're going to or XAI, they're going to continue to buy
Mm.
chips from Nvidia because they right now it's a lot of it's brute force. All right, and that's the way we're getting advancements, regardless of if there's not like another step change
Mhm.
and it's just logarithmic versus being exponential on the improvements. You will still get you're still working to improve the LLMs because by iterating on that is how you're going to find that next breakthrough. You're not going to get it by being like, well, we hit a top until we figure something else out. Well, how are you going to figure it out unless you're training, unless you're working on things, iterating on ideas? And so that's one point. And two, he's right about the agents. That is the way this part, at least for the next couple of years, it's all going to be about agents
Yes.
and how we can make agents better. But guess what? You still need NVIDIA chips to run those agents, right? Those agents are still calling to an LLM or using the LLM underneath them. So you still need it to run this. So it's that is not why NVIDIA's guys. NVIDIA is what, a couple dollars off its all-time high. Like, what are we talking about here?
More than that now, I think.
No, not at all. Let me look. 1 month. It has definitely hit its all-time high in the last 1 month. So it's 152 in the pre-market it hit, not even closing.
And now it's at 140. Oh, bless you.
Thank you. We're at 135 right now.
135. Yeah, yeah.
So like that's after hitting all-time high, like that is not bad. It was literally at 132 November 1st.
Okay.
Like this is what we're talking about. This is
Okay.
they're fine. They're more than fine.
Oh,
They had
I
a great
didn't.
quarter.
Yeah. I didn't think they were not fine. I just wondered if this conversation, which I'm hearing all over the place, I'm hearing it from a lot of top leaders, whether that conversation might be the reason for a little bit of the
Oh.
Yeah, you don't think so, huh? Okay.
No, look, if there's any reason why it's down a little bit is one, again, what this week is, but two, because people are still waiting to see the next generation NVIDIA chip. So I think that's all it is. It's more delayed than what people anticipated, but they have immense demand. They are the only one in town. It's yeah, that is as solid as they can get as a company.
All right, so now I'm going to switch to the general economy, and I have a theory. This is like pure optimism. This is, you could even call this hopium. And my theory is the bond market really went crazy today. The bond prices went up, yields dropped like I think overall maybe 9 points, but it was down at 13 basis points at one point on the 10-year. And I've been waiting and waiting for this. I felt like it really needed to happen. And I felt like what it needed in order to happen was that the bond buyers, the ones that are the experts in that area, would begin to believe in the Doge committee. That once they believe that maybe this Doge committee could do what it set out to do, and that would reduce or would actually increase the productivity of government. It would increase the productivity of the people who left government and went to work in the private sector. In general, it would reduce the cost of government, therefore putting money back into the regular system. That could cause less stress and strain on the treasuries, fewer treasuries needing to, less lending having to be done by the government. That all of that would be a virtuous circle. And that's what's starting to happen with the bond. Now, one day does not a data point make. One data point does not, anyway, whatever that means. But just in general, that is the virtuous circle I'm looking for. What do you think of my my thinking?
I mean, yeah, I could buy that. It's not what I think happened today, but yeah, I could buy that.
Oh, that's it. That's all you have to say.
I'm yeah, I mean, it's hard to say more because I don't think that's what happened today. I think today was just about finally having certainty on who the Treasury Secretary is going to be,
Oh,
and I
oh,
think that created some calmness in the market. So that's it. And yeah, I think, and this is an individual who is pretty bipartisan. He's worked well with Democrats. He's worked well with Republicans, and so I think the bond market likes that. Not only certainty, but someone who can work across the aisle.
gotcha. All right, okay. So, but anyway, that's
But I
my
like what you said.
okay. Yeah. So is that our future? Is that would that be a cool something within reason that could happen? That the efforts of the Doge committee could begin to have an impact even before they make very many cuts, just by virtue of being believed that they're going to make the cuts.
Yeah, I mean, the bond market tends to be a great predictor of what's going to happen. I mean, if you think about it, the bond, if you believe that market price that uh, that the market is always priced perfection, if you believe that, then a data point to validate that is how well the bond market has predicted rate cuts, rate increases, how many. I mean, like the bond market has been excellent. So yeah, I mean, if that's going to happen, it makes sense that the bond market is aware of it, right, and is factoring it in already.
All right, because if the bond market actually finally starts to react to all of this, if we see the long and short bonds start to come down, that would help the housing market. It would help the auto market, and it would help not just the auto part of the oh, I always forget the darn word. I don't. This is one of those words that I've lost as an old man here. I know the
Sure.
word. Anyway, the durables, that's the word I'm looking for.
Oh,
So it would impact the durables as well. So if the interest rates come down, it impacts durables. Of course, automobiles and airplanes are part of durables, but it should help automotive in that durables sector and should help housing. Those are the three parts of the economy that have been underperforming. So that could that could create the next run, if you will, of the economy really exceeding expectations.
That would be exciting. Yeah. No, well, that's the thing. Any one of these really feed into others, right?
Right.
So it all becomes a chicken and an egg until it just starts happening. Sometimes that we don't know it's the chicken or egg. It can just be sentiment that gets injected.
Yes.
That I like. How do you measure that? You can't. Like, how do you say it was this or that? No, it's just like sentiment. So people just started buying more, and like things move.
Yes. Yes. We'll get the consumer confidence numbers on Wednesday, so we'll see about their sentiment on that. We did hear that the builders are feeling a lot better. So if the
A lot build.
builders, that would be good to have the builders feeling better. Okay, so as mentioned, we don't have to repeat the nasty Tesla story from today. It'll probably bounce back, or maybe not. Maybe it'll hang out in this territory for a while. We'll see what happens over the next few days. Peggy this morning, however, said he thought this would be an amazing week. And about that time, so, people complain about Randy being the one who's, as soon as I say it's going to 300, it goes down. But Peggy today would be the GOAT, not that kind of GOAT. He'd be the wrong one today, at least.
Yeah.
All right. Dow Jones up 440, NASDAQ up 51, and the S&P up 18. The Magnificent Seven were all up except for Tesla and Nvidia. They were the only two down, and Nvidia down 593 on the day. I mean, that's 4%, right? Kathy Woods, all up except for Square. Anything happening with Square that you know about? Because they're a big Bitcoin. Oh, maybe the Bitcoin drop. I don't know. I think they're a big holder of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's go and take a look at the bonds that we just talked about. Whoops, the bonds have turned around now. Look at that. As soon as you say it.
I know.
So the 10 years up 2.2 in the pre-market. Back up to 4.285. But man, I like 4.285 better than 4.45. So at least we're directionally in the right place. Trump just vowed an additional 10% on China, 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. That's an interesting headline. Well, that's all we can say about it because we don't know what.
That's all we know.
That's all we know right now. Oil dropped dramatically because Israel and Hezbollah are talking nicey.
Chilling out.
So
Yeah.
maybe they're going to have a treaty or an agreement on a ceasefire. Natural gas coming off of its crazy highs, down 2.17 in the pre-market, but it had been up like 8% one day and 9% the next day. I have to learn how to play the natural gas market. This is,
Let me know when you do.
Okay, all right. Gold is bouncing back up after being down like 95 earlier this morning. It's up $3.70. Silver was also down big time, over 3.5% earlier today. Now in the pre-market, rather, it's down another 0.13%. And copper, which has been doing quite well, is still over $4 at 405, down 1.1 in the pre-market. So any of that of interest to you or exciting, or you've already mentioned a little bit about gold?
Yeah, I mean, oil I think is extremely interesting. Especially if OPEC does their cuts coming up here soon. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Oil's or supply, excuse me.
Yeah, so OPEC had said they were going to increase
Supply,
production.
not cuts. Supply.
Yes, and then they said, well, maybe not. So when have you heard when's the next time they're going to?
Well, I heard December. I heard that they didn't cancel the
Right.
supply, but it was pushed to December. Is what I read.
Yes, yeah, I think you're right. I think that's correct. Bitcoin in today overall down 2,700 to 94,000. So that would be a down about 6% from its all-time high. And we've already talked a little about that.
Yeah, that's.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's just kind of no different than Nvidia. Like it's literally right at its all time highs. It's 6% off its all time highs.
Yeah. So when does it bust through?
I don't know, but when it does, I think it's gonna run for a little bit.
I just read the third chapter from the Bitcoin standard, so now I understand why gold was the standard standard coin of all the realms, or almost all the
Mm.
realms, for thousands of years. So someday I'll regale everybody with some of that.
Look, not to. I hope this isn't deviating, but what are your thoughts on what we rejected on today on the stock?
What happened? What?
So so we have now, let's see, twice rejected at 61.93, 361.93. And
Twice rejected. Oh.
yeah, recently. And last time we were there was, zoom in here, was April of 2022.
Well, okay. UBS said what? What was their actual statement? They said that this is a lot. The reason for the run up is what do they call it? Um, just sentiment. It's all about the Trump thing. I agree. I've been saying it for two
Well,
weeks. I think you said it. It's heavily about the Trump thing. I did say this morning in my show that I think it's also taking it up to where it probably should be.
yes, agreed.
For
Because
the,
it's not just the sentiment, but it's also okay, now it's not so risky to do what I think is inevitable in case for some reason some random regulation comes into place to block it. Now that risk is out of the way. Now this is something I've been wanting to get into, but I didn't know how to de-risk on that. Now that's out of the way. So I think that's a lot of it.
Plus, we're only 7 months away from what seems to be a much more solid likelihood of robotaxi happening.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, so that also, I think, would impact
Yeah.
investors. Would be okay, like you. I can put more of a 60% by July type of number on it, and then I maybe I do want some optionality.
Yeah.
Really,
Well, yeah, exactly. But Brad Gerstner too, right? Like
yeah,
again, just look at the signal.
it's a
All
pretty
out of
big
Uber.
signal. Pretty big
Yeah.
signal.
It's a $1 to $2 billion signal right there.
Yeah, so I wouldn't think it. I'm sorry. I think that it is very likely that Tesla will find a new range, and it'll have to play around in that range for a while.
That's
Um,
healthy. Yep.
it's
Yeah.
healthy. Yeah.
Don't. Yeah. We don't need to get there tomorrow.
It's perfectly okay. I'm very happy with the current levels
Yeah.
because I didn't expect it to go past 300 till the end of the year, although I did expect it to go to all-time highs in either January or February. So
I think that's definitely gonna happen.
I do too. Yeah.
How exciting is that?
How exciting is that? All right. So, and oh, by the way, somebody said the other day, though, that if you take inflation into consideration, it has to go to 495 to be at inflation adjusted all-time high. But I don't think that's how anybody plays the market.
No. Yeah. That's not how it works.
All right. Well, I wanted to let everybody know that Brian White's video will be on in just a couple of hours here. They definitely want to watch that video. Now, I want to just remind everybody one more time. Brian Wong did a video. We did it, I think it was Sunday. No, it was last night I put it up. And not everybody that needed to watch it did watch it. It's very clever. It's talking about the Mars trip 2 years from now, and the fact that those 5 ships that are going to go up there are going to be loaded with Cybertrucks and Optimi, and why that's going to happen, and how it's going to work, and what needs to happen between now and then for that to work, and that it's a critical part of the mission. Anyway, you know how Brian is. He's like he literally goes into the future, and then he does the details of how something like that might look and why. It's a fabulous video. So I'm putting that card right there for people to check that out. Last chance. Anything left for today?
No, just again, thank you to Larry and thank you, Randy, for accommodating my schedule. And hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving and travel safe and use FSD. So you do travel safe.
That's right. Well, I'll be going down to San Diego using my FSD. So we'll see how that works out on that particular trip. All right,
Beautiful.
sir. Great as always to have you on, and to all of you out there, great talking to you.